Oh, good evening and welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Tom's here as well, so I'll just add Tom to the stage. Yeah, what a wonderful evening it is after yesterday. So many Sunday nights last season following defeats were more like wakes than football analysis. I've got a great panel, a truly great panel with us tonight. First of all, and I think we're going out in conjunction with Eltel Cockerell. Is that right?
Yeah, but I can't find it.
Oh, okay. Well, we might eventually. Yeah. But a really good friend of the channel who was fabulous to us when we started off. And it was wonderful to meet you in the flesh yesterday as well. Eltel Cockerell, a.k.a. Jose. Welcome to the show, Jose.
Thank you very much. It was really, really good to see you yesterday, Ian. And give you that big hug that I gave you.
I'm recovering.
As for Adrian, I know that Adrian was well, Gel.
Yeah.
When I gave you that hug, Adrian was like, "Where's mine, you gits?" And yeah, no, it was nice to see. It was nice to be there first game of the season, meet up with a few of the boys, lead a Dorset Spur, obviously, Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, who I work with anyway, but he was there at the stadium there yesterday. So, yeah, it was good. It was nice to see a few people, and it was nice. It was very positive before I got to the ground. It was positive during the game. It was positive after the game. So, yeah, it was all good. It was a really good day out yesterday. Well worth my 3 and a bit hour journey up and 3 and a bit hour journey back home.
Well worth my journey back home, and well worth paying for Tom's ticket yesterday because Tom was at work. Good evening, our regular guest Tom Clark. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. How is everyone?
I think we're all good. Yeah. And
nice.
Our other regular Callum Stubbs. Good evening, Cal. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. It's been a good week, and I know I missed you guys at the game yesterday because I had to rush off. But obviously, Ian, you did come and see me at work as well, didn't you? So it was good to finally meet you in person as well. So no, it's been a positive week until the last day and a half, hasn't it? That's been a bit all up in the air, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. We are now broadcast in association with Eltel Cockerell because it's come up on my
I just
phone.
I just found what I did wrong, so it's now come up.
If I could do the technology, I'd almost be done. And of course, my fellow partner in crime, welcome, Mr. Joker. Good evening, Adrian. How are you?
I'm fine. Looking forward to getting into it. Yeah, I think we've all got that warm glow inside. I've still got the warm glow for winning the Europa League and the warm glow for a 3-0 win. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would be absolutely remiss, though, tonight if I didn't start with a chat. The spreading the love. Blaine, 20 Diehards memberships. I get really touched by this. Blaine, thank you very much. And a £10 super. Hang on, I've got to press the wrong one there. I've got Drooler instead. Sorry, Drew. I'll come to you, darling. I will. And a £10 super sticker from Blaine as well. Thanks. Thanks, Blaine. Let me just go through. I don't mind blowing our own trumpet because no one else is going to do it. Roger, good see you. Hi, guys. Looking forward to tonight's podcast. The most interesting, articulate one around. Straight talking and divide of the usual bull spoken on other ones. Thank you, sir. That wasn't meant for us. That was sorry. Oh, right. Okay. So, look, thanks for that. Designed to win, Lou. Good evening. We need to have a transfer meltdown. We're not having a transfer meltdown. We'll bring you up to speed. This is all good. Nita, loved this story when I read it before. Me happy. Yeah, me happy too. Yesterday in Shoreditch, the whole team of Burnley players passed me on the high road. Carl Walker passed me, asked him to turn around and give me a wave, and he did. Yeah, probably the closest he got to anything in a Tottenham shirt yesterday, I tell you. Kevin, one of our regulars, evening. Paul O'Keefe comments seem positive. Yeah, we'll come on to that, but I'm still really positive. Graham, yeah, well, Ezzy will be a Spurs player. Savinho will be our record signing. Yeah, I read that. We're going back in for him. And Hinch Cape or Hinch, Tom put me right on my
Hincapi.
See, I was almost close there.
Don't pronounce the H.
Yeah.
You should know. You shouldn't. You know, you don't pronounce the H, Ian.
Yeah, I wish they were all Spanish. I can do the Spanish better. Yeah, loved you when you played for Spurs, holding my bus for the weekend. It just, as I said in the intro, it just makes everything so different when you get a win. There used to be evidence that when a football team won, they did an analysis of this. When a football team won on a Saturday, productivity in the factory on the Monday morning went up. That's what it does to us. David Clark, David, good evening. Yeah, well, okay. Always look on the dark side, David. I've got to rely on you for that. Drula, where's Drula? That's Hotel Cocktail. Yeah, there's back to Drula. Hi, Drula. Drula is a Franca. Good evening, guys. Yeah. Then there's a few saying hello to each other. Yeah, good evening. Peter, no show is complete without a time broadcast from Peter. Good morning in Melbourne, Peter. How you doing? Yeah, I mean, if you're old enough, you know, yeah, goal Richarlison assist kudos is like Court Marsh Bold Lily, isn't it? Then Donna Cullen, whoever you are, no idea who you are, name, gender. Got a funny feeling I know you though. Who's the handsome boy above Senor Jose? Yeah, that's Sophie's husband, Donna, just in case you're wondering. Let's go back to the game. Let's. I did the first banner I wrote last night, if I can find it. Just give me a minute. Sorry. My fault. I had it. Was glory, Tottenham. And we had Tottenham 3, Burnley 0. I don't want to talk too much about the team. I think everybody remember that was a team. I think it came as a little bit of a surprise. Tom, I know you weren't at the game, so I am going to start with you deliberately because other people, the rest of us were there and can probably give a little bit more insight into what happened. But when you knew that was a team, what was your instinct?
Well, my first instinct was I had no idea what a team was because they put it in numerical order on the picture on the on X. So I was like, what? Who? Richarlison's playing centre back? What's going on? No, to be honest, once I've worked out who was playing where and what was going on, I found it really refreshing, to be honest. Like to have a team that I was surprised by, because all of last season and even the season before with Ange, you kind of knew who was going to be in the first 11 and what formation we were going to play and everything like that. So I think, there was a lot of talk, especially in commentary and stuff when we were playing PSG, that, Spurs are going to be playing a back five this season. Spurs are going to be playing a back five. Yeah, that was the only game the whole pre-season that we'd actually played a back five. So it was nice to see us go back to the four. variety of players up front. I think that's going to be one of our biggest kind of weapons this year. Is that how on earth are teams going to be able to plan for playing Tottenham Hotspur when they have no idea what formation we're going to play and what players are going to be playing? So I think that's going to be a huge kind of weapon for us this season in comparison to last year, where and the season before, where after the first 10 games, people kind of had the blueprint of how to beat Spurs. Beating us was obviously a different thing, but they had the blueprint of how to do it because Ange always played the same way until obviously the last 6 months of his tenure. So I'm excited moving forward to not know what the team's going to be from week to week, to be honest.
Jose, that's fair comment, and I think we always knew that Thomas Frank was flexible in his formations and his tactics. But the difference here with Brentford, he's going to have much better players to do this with than he could have dreamed of at Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna become a whole new person now that he's at Tottenham. His principles and the way that he coaches and the tactics and everything, he's gonna have that within him, and all he's doing is applying these sets of principles and that he has, but he's applying them to a different club. So he's just picking up and dropping them off basically at Tottenham. And I agree with Tom about the refreshing part of it, but God, was I shocked. When I saw the team sheet come up, a bit like you, Tom. Yeah, it took a bit of working out because it was all numbered order. So it took a bit working out, but once you'd worked out, you were like, oh my, right, where are the players that played on Thursday night? Sorry, on Wednesday night. Where are all these players? So, and at the end of the day, you look at it, and we're going to get a lot of this season. We're going to get a lot of formation changes. We're going to get a lot of tactical changes. He will play. Frank's known already to play. He plays the opponent. So he looks at the weaknesses of the opponent and he looks at our strengths because he's now managing Tottenham, and he figures out a game plan to get us over the line in the game. So yeah, it was quite interesting that he came out. Well, for me, the interesting part was that he started off with the three that he did in midfield, which I said to you yesterday, Ian, at the ground. I said, don't forget that this was like the youngest midfield that have probably played in the Premiership for any team. I don't recall any other team in the Premiership playing the midfield, whether you play a 3 or a 4, that are as young as what these 3 guys were yesterday. So I understand why he did it and that, but I was shocked to start off with, but I do understand why he did it. And all I've got to say is buckle in, because we're going to get plenty more of this.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you, it's already in my head for one of the banners to talk about for the tomorrow. You're planning the show, watching the game. But Callum, you're the youngest on this panel. Beat Tom by about 4 years, I think. But there's a midfield. Sarr 22, Bergvall 19, Gray 19, 60 years. Their combined age is younger than Jose, Adrian, or I. What was your take on that?
I thought it would be I think I texted the Die Hard group chat. I think I said that it would be a high energy, high sort of, it wouldn't be the soul crushing sort of midfield that you'd want. Like what Burnley would have. It'd be fast paced, quick moving, high energy for it. So I was quite positive, to be honest. I've been one of the bigger advocates for these ones. Brett, you are horrible. I really don't like you for that comment, but I will. But no, it was.
Brett, that's a beer I owe you. I tell you, that is a pint I owe you.
No, I think we should block him for half an hour for that comment. I'm very insulted, but no, it was definitely it was a high energy sort of midfield, but I was a little bit cautious about playing that many youngsters in there, to be honest, just based on the experience level that was going to be there. But I was positive about it. It showed that we don't expect what Frank's going to do, and when you throw a curveball like that, I'm all for it.
Adrian, I get a bit annoyed sometimes when I read things online that are you actually watching the same match as I am? But someone on chat wasn't at the game in one of the groups I subscribed to, saying that Gray was an absolute waste of money and was utterly useless in the game. What's your take on that?
I disagree. I thought he did what he had to do. You got to consider the fact that Frank was brave playing 3 of those midfielders, and they've not played together before, right? Not all 3 of them together, not as far as I know. I stand corrected if it has happened. I thought it was very brave, and also like he's showing how much research he's done on Burnley because he knew they would try and sit back. Don't get me wrong; they were a threat at times during that first half.
Yeah,
but no, he's picked that team. None of us would have picked that team in predictive lineups. No one would have. Right? You would have thought that Bentancur or one of Polina or Bentancur would have been in there, definitely. And it wasn't to be, but he got it right. He got it right. We got the win. I'm not going to go overboard on the 3-0. When you come out the game, you've got to win. Everyone's excited, so they're going to exaggerate a bit on how they think the game went. It wasn't that close. I actually thought we were very well. We'll get into that. We'll come into the game, but I thought we were quite sloppy in the first half. We gave the ball away far too easily at times, but we started brightly, didn't we? Bergvall nearly scored early on in the first few minutes, and then you move on. I'm sure you'll get into it. No, with Gray, look, I'm part of the Gray Defence League. I get it. Bergvall goes forward. He looks a sexier player because of his style of play. But Gray's played all them games just last year. He played at left back, right back, centre back. He had a good game in midfield against Brighton after he won the Europa League. But then we threw the game away in the second half. I thought, this is the Gray I see you at Leeds when you're playing against Chelsea and you boss the midfield, right? And I've watched it before, so I am a fan. But you see, you're going to have these players in it. It's a bit like looking at Sarah. I think has been our best player pre-season. You've still got fans saying, but look, just because a player's unsexy looking on the pitch doesn't mean he isn't doing a job or whatever. When is Gray, as an 18-year-old, come into this team, right, and let us down? And you might pick 2 or 3 games against Ipswich when Dilat gave him a bit of a rough time, or Liverpool away when we got spanked. But in those games, we were horrific and everyone was poor. No, I am a fan. I've watched him. I've watched a lot of him, probably a lot more. Callum watches young players, so he's probably watched a lot of him as well. And I am a fan. And we said, and we were right, because Callum probably said it as well. I said, watch this kid when he comes up. We got Bergvall and Gray. I said, Gray will hit the ground running before Bergvall because he's been in a championship. And he did. People have got short memories. Bergvall finished the season strongly, started to show a bit more what he's about. Looks sexier. And our fans always go for the sexy players. They don't go for the unsung heroes. So back to you, Ian.
Yeah, 38 of 41 completed passes from Gray. Not quite sure what. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Just a little comment. I won't put the comment up, but Nito, I don't want kids, I want men. But we had Bentancur not playing. We had Polina not playing. I think we're going to get Eze. So, a midfield of, Bentancur and Polina, then with Eze, Kudos, I'm going to come on to, Silvino, we're going to come on to later. That's got a lot of energy. It's got a lot of skill. That's got plenty of maturity as well. Tom, I know you'd have probably picked up the goals and bits and what have you, and you'd have seen the game on Wednesday. Saw West Ham get tanked yesterday and looking pretty awful. Kudos. Your mum's a West Ham supporter, remember?
I know, and my father-in-law, and I've been texting him all day and all night about it. It's been wonderful.
Well, they could be in trouble. Potter could be out before first man out this season. But Tom, seriously, question for you. Kudos is looking an absolute bargain at 55 million.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely think we got him for a good value. Let's put it that way. Time will tell whether or not it's been exceptional value or whether it was good value. But he just looks unpredictable. on the ball. And, you know, the one concern was, does he have end product? Well, he's got 2 assists. Okay, one of those assists was thanks to a fantastic goal by Richarlison, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. But yeah, he's looking every bit worth the money that we've paid. You know, like I said, we'll find out in time whether or not 55 million was a steal or not. But when you look at the fact that Nottingham Forest had just bought Amari Hutchinson, who's only played 1 season in, you know, top flight football at men's level for like 40 million, and some of the other fees that are batting around for some of the other players and stuff. He's clearly like a level above any player that we've had for some while. But it's whether or not he can do it consistently. The important thing for me is that we need to get more players around him so that he doesn't have to do everything. So we need to be able to allow him to have a bad game by having, you know, an Eze, having a Savinho, having other players around him that can facilitate him having a bad game. And the one thing, like, again, you speak to West Ham fans, you get some that were bitter and saying, oh, yeah, we've had Tottenham's pants down for 55 million, blah, blah, blah. He was terrible last season, but he was really, really, really good the season before. So it's just whether or not, you know, he might be phenomenal for us this season. How is he then going to be the next season? So, you know, as with any transfer, you'll never know if it was good value for money until, you know, you come to the end of that player's like time at your club. But at this present moment in time, he is looking special. And the thing is as well is with the season ticket prices that we pay for Spurs, you want to go and watch fun football and fun players, and he is a fun player to watch. So, and 2 assists and clinical and. He's done it in almost every single game so far. It'd be interesting if he keeps doing it, but he keeps doing this little like dink chip over a player with his left foot as they're running towards him. So as they're running towards him, he just does this little dink, gets it over their sort of incoming challenge, and then goes past him. He's done it in every single game so far. Be interesting if he carries on doing that, or whether players wise up to it at some point. But the other thing as well is he seems to go both ways. I thought he was when we bought him, I thought he was quite a one-footed player. But he seems to be able to use his right foot as well as his left, which is you know, really, really good.
Jose, let me bring you in on that, because you were sitting not too far from Kevin and I. You'd have got a good look at Kudus in the second half. One thing that impressed me was he seems to have a natural understanding with Porro. Really
I felt if I talk about the first half, what I noticed in the first half was that it must be by design. When we picked up the ball from the back, the goalkeeper and the 2 centre halves were playing triangles, right? And they were trying to bring Burnley on. And as soon as Burnley made that move onto us, the ball immediately went out to, depending which centre half had it, the ball, if it was Van de Ven, it would go out to Jed, and if it was Romero, it would go out to Porro. Once Jed and Pedro Porro had the ball, it was interesting that Porro did pass it, both the first half and second half. He would pass it on to Kudus, but he didn't overlap Kudus. With Jed, it was noticeable that Jed wouldn't use Brennan.
Yeah.
And the only time that I saw him try and put Brennan through was when he threaded a ball inside their third centre-back and the full-back to try and get Brennan to run onto it. But he never passed the ball to Brennan in order for him to do a take on a one-on-one. And that let us down a bit, I thought. But you know, we could have had more output if we had a take-on person on the left-hand side as well. As for Kudus, I said yesterday, and I said it on my show this morning, and I said it last night on somebody else's show, that Kudus it's like he's got the ball on the string. It's the only way I can describe it. The ball on the string. His control. Even without dropping his shoulder, he's just got the control of that ball. The ball is no more than, like, I'd say 2 inches away from his foot. There's no 6 inches. There's no foot. It's like 2 inches away. And I said it's akin to, the kids get the bat and ball with the string on it. So you can just go like that with a bat and ball. That's how I imagine him having it. He's just got that ball on the string. And Kudos was happy to go outside and was happy to go inside. And for the defenders that were marking him yesterday, and I'm presuming this is going to be like this for the rest of the season, if you go touch tight on Kudos, because their left back went touch tight on Kudos, right, to start off with. And when he was doing that, Kudos' strength, he could hold the defender off and he could roll the defender and get away from him. And when they stood off him, that's when he was dropping his shoulder and going. So it was really hard to mark him yesterday for anyone that went up against him, because he goes both ways. And the defenders have got to make a decision. Do we touch tight him, or do we give him a yard? But either way, you're going to lose out, because you'll roll you if you touch tight, and if you're giving him a yard, then he's going to drop his shoulder and go past you. Do you know what I mean? So it was really, really. I mean, I thought he played well against PSG, but I watched that on TV. But yesterday, being at the game, you're quite right. In the stand, being in the south stand or being in the north stand, you get to see the whole pitch lengthways, so you can see all the play that's going on, and you see a hell of a lot. And to see Kudos in the flesh yesterday, he was absolutely brilliant. He was absolutely outstanding.
Agreed. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to El Tel Cockerel, one of the best shows, one of the best hosts out there, please, there's the link. Please like and subscribe to his channel. I don't know where that's come from. The numbers have gone up. We have 232 watching at the moment. So please, if you're as one of our guys, please like and subscribe to El Tel Cockerel. And if you are one of ours, please make sure you hit the like button for us and subscribe to our channel. 262 now. So we're heading towards record numbers. So let's keep winning every week, Thomas, and then we will we'll be into the 500s before long. Yeah. So thanks for that. Comment I wanted to put to you, Callum, based on, I'm just going to pull up the that, because I wanted that back again. 55 million. I don't know if you watched the Manchester United game today, and I thought Mbeumo played pretty decently, probably for an hour anyway, until he ran out of ammunition. But the 55 million for Kudos or 67 million for Mbeumo, I'm starting to think, do you know what? I think we might have got the better of that deal.
I think it's still too early to say, in all honesty. I mean, we can't take it away from Mbeumo that he had his best season last year in the Premier League and Kudos had his worst. They were playing against Arsenal. We did play against Burnley. I don't want to be that sort of party pooper on this, but I think it's too early. I mean, he was very good, don't get me wrong, and Mbeumo looked all right today, and seeing him and Martinelli both end up on their backside after they attempted to do that Richarlison bicycle kick as well, which was just ridiculous. But I think the value is good in this day and age of football. I mean, if I had 55 million to spend, it'd be lovely, but I don't think we would. But there's definitely a good player in Kudos, and he offers something difficult. He's tricky. He's sort of spontaneous in what he does. It's all improvised, a lot of it, and he has that freedom to do it. So no, good value. We just got to have him do it consistently now, don't we? And he's had 2 good games, been very impressed, but I just want to not jump too far ahead, if you get what I mean. We're still 1 game into probably a 60-game season that we're going to have, so I hope he continues.
Callum's got a point, Adrian, hasn't he? But it's a hell of a good start.
I've got no qualms about Kudos. I've watched him before. He was, and he's got that low centre of gravity, and like it was alluded to, you know, with Kudus, it's a bit like when you had Gascoigne. You had one ball for him and one ball for the rest of the team. I mean, he's that good on the ball, as Jose said. I mean, he's a fantastic player, and like money well spent, and it's his strength as well. He never gives up what we would think would be a lost cause, and somehow he seems to come out with it with the ball most of the time. He won't always come out of it, you know. But for someone who's small, I mean, we've seen Decky do it a lot, but Kudus, I mean, for someone who's like no mountain, you know, he's fantastic on the half turn. And Eric controlled that ball to keep it in for the first goal and then get down the wing and put the cross in. You know, if it'd gone out of touch, people have thought, okay, fair enough, like. And he did it again the second time. I mean, for the 2 assists, I mean, they were fantastic assists. Both were good finishes as well, by the way. And I'm still not a Richarlison fan. I'm still not a Richarlison fan. Back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Tom, you've seen the goals?
Yeah, seen the goal. Just before we carry on, I just want to say the reason why the number's sharp is Sava actually sent a raid over from his stream to Eltel Cockerel. So anyone who's jumped in from Sava, big up. If you can like and subscribe on both Eltel Cockerel and Spurs Die Hard.
This morning because I was on his show because we hadn't been on a show together for months and months, maybe a year or so. I don't know. So he said, "So thanks, Sava. Thanks for that." Yeah.
Yeah. We suddenly went from 100. 260 to 300 and something. I thought something wrong with the numbers. Oh, thanks for telling me that, and thanks, Sava.
And if you haven't subscribed, there is we can't see it. There's a red subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. Hit that, and you can find us on this rotating ribbon below on Facebook. We've got a big group and page, and on XCOM as well. Yeah. Back to you, Ian.
Yeah, Sava. I see that. Yeah. Okay.
With the Kudus thing, I was going to say, right, I really liked Kudus when he was at Ajax, and I wanted us to go for Kudus about 3 years ago. At the same time, I also wanted Manuel Ugarte when he was at Sporting Lisbon 3 years ago. But what I'll say is that there was a lot of rumouring and a lot of talk when we were signing Kudus, that Kudus apparently had made stipulations, and that people believed that the stipulations was that he was going to come and he wanted to play in the 10 role. I'm not sure whether you guys have seen it, but on Bein Sports, he did an interview yesterday, and in the interview he did yesterday after the game with Bein Sports, he turned around and his words were, "No, I'm a winger. I want the ball all the time, and I want to win one-on-one duels. I want to take people on, and I want to serve for my strikers." And they were his words. He said that his football that he enjoys is attacking and going one-on-one duels and beating players and setting up the forwards. If he scores a goal himself, okay, we'll take it. But his primary concern is to take on players, beat them, and set up other people for goals. And that was an interview. That's an interview that he did yesterday.
Before, just one thing that I didn't add. Kudus seems to be so happy to be at our club, though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
so happy, and I think that shows in his form.
Wouldn't you, when you've left an athletics club and actually gone to a football club?
Hey, does your uncle and mother and do they watch this or?
No, luckily they don't. So, but my missus may show it to Dad. So, God help it.
Tom, one thing. I mean, bring you in on this before we talk about the goals, which I was going to, is that one of the problems that Kudus seemed to have at West Ham was Mark Noble. Nothing personal, just Mark Noble.
You mean Jared Bowen?
Sorry. Jared Bowen, sorry. Yeah, but that's not a mispronunciation. That's just a Jared, but yeah, playing on that wide position. I'll be calling him what? Yeah, people looking at me funny again. People, put myself completely off now, and I can feel myself going bright red. Captain of West Ham, local hero. plays in the same position. He's not playing in his best position, so he gets peed off. Potter gets peed off because he's peed off, and it's a recipe for disaster. Put him in his best position, which is, I think, going to be right wing. And hey, presto, he's a different player. And I think Adrian's hit a nail on the head. He looks so happy to be at Tottenham.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's interesting, Jose was saying about when he was at Ajax, because I remember before he went West Ham and he was at Ajax, he in the World Cup, he absolutely like lit it up. But he, strangely, when I first watched him play, and he was playing for his national team and for Ajax, he played more as a central midfielder / like defensive midfielder. And I was like, do you know what? This guy looks an absolute like unit. He's good on the ball. He's a mean tackler. Like, this would be the perfect sort of defensive midfielder. And then all of a sudden, he's ended up being this phenomenal winger. And like earlier, you sort of made a comparison between him and Buemo. Well, I think the difference is that Kudus is much more of a playmaker type winger. He's much more about assisting and setting up for everyone else, whereas Buemo is much more the winger who gets on the end of things. He's more of a Salah. Mbeumo is more of a Salah type, as the guy who's going to be scoring the goals rather than the guy who's going to be setting them up. Whereas Kudus is more likely to be the guy that's setting them up than scoring them. So that's your big kind of difference. And it might have been the fact of, well, we've got strikers who can score goals. Solanke has scored 19 in a Premier League season. Richarlison, okay, there's lots of question marks about him, but he's scored double digits in a Premier League season times before. So, we've got strikers who can put the ball in the net. You've also got Johnson who can put the ball in the net. So it was much more about getting a player in who can create stuff. And that's why I think Kudus has been like an invaluable pickup for us, to be honest with you. And as much as I wanted Mbeumo, because I wanted someone to take Johnson's place more than anything, but Kudus has been a great buy. And again, if you surround him with more players who can create and assist and play make, then we're on for a winner, really.
I mean, I'm starting to already get excited, and I know I might be being premature, but getting excited about the idea of a three of Eza, Savinha, and Kudus. I mean, I just think that has frightened defenders all over it.
I mean, being premature at your age is no strange thing, but even for me at my age, it's quite an exciting thing. With the list. Sorry, you're catching strays from all over today, aren't you? But yeah, it is a really exciting prospect. But I think again, it gives us so many options because you've got players who are more finishers in types in wing positions like Johnson, and I'm going to say Tell, even though he's not obviously had the best of times over the last few weeks, but he is more of a finishing type winger than he is a creative one. So to surround those players and Richarlison and Solanke with players who are going to actually set them up is going to, be invaluable, like I said. And Richarlison proved yesterday that when it comes to one-touch finishing, he is one of the best in the Premier League when it comes to not thinking about it and just shooting. When he's got time to think, that's when Richarlison can be a bit iffy. When the ball is coming at him fast and he just needs to react and get it on target, then he is phenomenal at it.
The transfer window closes at 5 p.m. on the 1st of September. Tom Clark is available for transfer on a free for insulting the host. Callum, that's a really good point. I mean, let's talk about the two. I mean, I've got that. I mean, these are the two banners, but I mean, they were stunning crosses and stunning finishes. And it's right, isn't it? First time finishes, instinctive striker finishes, typical Latin American finishes that were worth the admission money just to see them.
No, hands down. And I kind of feel sorry for the Burnley left back, to be honest, because he had a proper handful of Kudus yesterday, and I felt sorry for the poor guy. But no, really good finish from Richarlison for the first one. And then the second one, I mean, that's just magic, isn't it? It's what we it's what we want as football fans, that little bit of spark and glory. So, no, really, really good goals. Their goalkeeper had no chance. We started creating space all the way around there. And the first goal just sort of set the tempo, or well, we hoped. I know it went kind of a little bit stagnant until the second goal, but we were in the ascendancy. And I think just for Richarlison to actually get the goals as well, that had done his world of confidence. It just conveniently that the pigeon has now become Ronaldo in World Cup year as well. So hopefully, may it continue on that.
Jose, they were top class finishes by any standard, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the period that he was fit, where he scored. I don't know. He played for about 3 months continuously for us, and he scored quite a lot of goals. Well, quite a fair few goals for us. And I remember a 2-2 draw away at Everton, where he scored 2 goals. And a bit like what Tom said, instinctively he hit them first time, and for me they were 2 worldy goals that he scored against Everton. Well, the goals he scored yesterday, oh, they were on a different level, a different stratosphere to the 2 goals that I'm talking about at Everton.
Yeah.
Charlison for me, Robbie from Lily White Lane was there, and he was sitting a row behind me, and I was having a chat with him for the game, and I said to him, I'll be honest, I said to him, look, Richarlison's playing. I said, but I prefer Solanke to Richarlison, but you can't drop Richarlison after what he did for 72 minutes against PSG, because Richarlison put in a big time shift against PSG. I thought it was one of the best games that Richarlison had played.
Yeah.
And for that reason, and also the fact that Solanke is still unfit and still trying to get his fitness levels up, I felt that Richarlison deserved the starting place yesterday. The Richarlison we saw yesterday was absolutely superb. He was on fire. It was interesting because they played a low block, right? And I saw the midfielders trying to get the ball from our defenders, right? And they were being man marked, and they were pressing on us. And so 2 midfielders would go. Say they went to the left side of the pitch. The 3rd midfielder went to the right side of the pitch, or vice versa, and they opened up the space in the middle. And the amount of balls that we played through the middle, along the floor, they weren't up in the air, but along the floor from the centre arse to Richarlison to the halfway line, and Richarlison's then holding defenders off and that, and either winning a free kick or laying the ball back to somebody in space. And he did that yesterday absolutely impressively. And this is without the 2 goals he scored. I mean, I don't recall Richarlison. I think he had a header. I think he might have had a header that went up, went wide and up in the air. But apart from that, I don't recall Richarlison having anything other than them 2 shots to make, and he scored both of them. So, yeah, Richarlison, at the end of the day, Thomas Frank has talked about Richarlison, and he said that they've got plans for Richarlison, and that the plans that they've got for Richarlison, they believe that they can keep him fit because availability is the best that you can give to a club. And, instead of being in a treatment table or being out injured, they reckon they've got a plan for him, and that he's going to see more game time and be on the pitch more. And that's what you want, because with this season coming up, we're going to need that rotation. So we're going to need both strikers. We can't just rely on one of them because the other one's out injured. We're going to have to rely on both of them. But Richie, yesterday, doesn't matter who you have as your opponents. I mean, I heard a lot of people saying, yeah, calm down, lads. It's only Burnley, right? But my answer to that is look, we respect every team you play against in the Premiership. You need to respect. End of story. It doesn't matter who the team is. I remind people, how many times did we lose to teams that came up last season? All right. So you've got to respect your opponent, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's Burnley or Man City. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You respect them equally in every way. And at the end of the day, yesterday, Burnley came with a low block. Burnley had the best defensive record in all 4 divisions last season. All right, we're jumping up now from the Championship to the Premiership. But, what I didn't see a lot of yesterday, and I've seen it in previous seasons, not only Tottenham but other teams as well, where you're playing against the low block and you play that defensive horseshoe football.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday I didn't see much of that horseshoe football because when we got the ball out to Kudos, he attacked the man. We took shots from outside the box. You know, we did things that you're meant to do against low block teams, which we haven't done in the last few years. And you know, at the end of the day, team playing with a low block, we walked away with a 3-0 victory. And it can't be underestimated the shift that was put in yesterday by all 16 players, not just the 11 that started, but by the 5 that came off the bench as well.
All did well. Good points, Jose. There's a lot for you to pick up on that, Mr. Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, what surprised us all at the beginning was the new 8-second rule with the goalkeepers, wasn't it? Stalling on the ball, and then we get a corner, and the whole crowd cheered, didn't they? But the first goal, I don't know how Jose see it or you see it in where you were. When that cross came in, I thought, the Burnley defender's going to cut that out. But it seemed to go past him, didn't he? And what I noticed on the 2 goals is like when Richarlison does score, it's like his body shape. It was similar. He seems to like to angle his body and come with his right foot, right? And it's similar like when he got the overhead kick as well. He seems comfortable receiving the ball in that sort of way to get a shot off. When he's upright, he's not very good as far as I'm concerned, right? I still want him gone, but but no, he did fantastic. And listen, I'd love him to prove me wrong over a length of time, but we shall see, you know. I like that. Go on.
No. What I wanted to ask you specifically, though, is Jose made a couple of really important points. We're going to play a lot of big games this season, Champions League games and what have you. For all the criticism of him, let's face it, if there's a Spurs supporter that hasn't been critical of Richarlison, you've not been watching. But a fit Richarlison on that kind of form is worth his weight in gold.
Yeah, I think he got in that period that Tom was talking about, something like 7 goals in like 10 or 11 games or whatever it was. But he's been with us like how many years? This is the thing. And like I was saying on Savage Show this morning, you know, and you're the same as me here. We followed this club for over 60 years, right?
Yeah.
And even though I throw Solanke in the mix, we can name so many strikers that are better than that pair. I mean, I'm hoping Solanke's going to kick on. He got 15 goals last season, all competitions. I'm hoping he's going to kick on. But I've seen some, and these were strikers that got you 20, 25 goals a season. Now you're a glory boy if you get 15 or something. I mean, to me, maybe I'm stuck in the past here a bit, and the game has changed. But also, strikers don't get so many goals because they usually find themselves isolated in a box because of this robotic horseshoe football. Wingers get down. They're trying to you got to put a pinpoint cross in for a guy to score. And when he scores, what a wonderful cross it was. And you start thinking, well, was that luck or was it really skill? You know, I mean, I do. That's the way I think. But yeah, I mean, look, I want Richarlison. Listen, you want all the players to do well. We're Spurs fans, aren't we? Like, I hope he keeps it up. I really do hope he keeps it up. I still think his Solanke's first touch is better. There's balls that he should control better that he doesn't. Can't fault his aggression and all that. The shithousery, love that as well. But he's not going to take us to another level, though, Ian. He's never going to take us to another level. They have good games, but he's never going to take us to another level.
We're over 400. Which is absolutely phenomenal. So I think Graham's put a thing on there. There's under 100 likes. Please, guys, hit the like button. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. That's for Spurs diehards that you're watching. Or if you're watching on diehards, don't forget to like and subscribe to El Tel Cocker.
Yes. Jose hasn't subscribed there, guys, please. Yeah.
And excuse me. And if you're watching on El Tel Cockerel, please like and subscribe to the Spurs Diehards channel. We really would appreciate that. And hopefully there's enough of you hanging on in here as well that you're enjoying the chat as well. But anything else to add for that phenomenal second goal by Richarlison? I mean, when they showed it on the big screen, there were actually gasps around. I mean, you all knew it was good from the line, but when you saw it on replay,
it was that good on the replay. The scream from the replay was as loud as when he scored it, if not louder. That's just because it was that good.
I think I took a video of it and posted it round, and I took a picture of everyone cheering, and then when I showed the replay of it going back in, and you're completely correct, everyone around me was jumping, cheering, everything like that. It's like that's the best goal that he scored for us, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Jose, I remember those goals at Goodison, but yeah, the two yesterday were phenomenal. But I mean, the question I put there, Tom, I'll put this to you because I'm then going to go on to another controversial player, if I can call it that. We're going to talk about Mr. Johnson and the point you made about his right position. But you know, I put his full name in here. Will the real Richarlison D'Andre please stand up? What is that player? The £60 million player or the guy lying prostrate on the treatment table?
You're muted, Tom.
Apologies, tippy tapping on my keyboard, so I muted myself. He's shown that he's got this potential, right? He scored a very similar goal for Brazil, although it was probably a poor touch that set that one up for Brazil. But he has the potential. The problem with him is just, can he stay fit for 38 games of a Premier League season? And the thing is that we now have him and we've got Solanke. If Richarlison comes off it a little bit, then Solanke can come in, and you know that Solanke's going to put in. The best thing about both of those two players is their work ethic. They both run themselves into the ground. They work really, really hard, and so you can never begrudge them that. You know, as long as they're putting the ball in the back of the net, that's what you need from your striker. Do I think we could do with a better striker than the pair of those in the long term? Absolutely. But is that a need must for this summer? In hindsight, now I look at it, probably not. And the thing is, if we are looking to now spend 55-60 million on Eze, 60-65 million on Savinho, and then potentially another 60 million on a Hincapié from Leverkusen, you know, we're looking at potentially spending 150, 180 million before the end of the window on 3 players. I look at that and go, we now have the absolute foundation of a fantastic squad, not just the first 11, but a fantastic squad that when we come to our next transfer windows, we're not going, right, we need this and we need this and we need this and we need this. We're going, if we can buy a world-class striker, we could take it up that next level. If we could buy a world-class this player, we could take it up that next level. We're not then looking to build a massive squad. We're just looking to sprinkle that little bit of stardust in. And then that 180 million that we're spending on 3 players if you count Kudus, you know, you're looking at possibly over 200 million that we spent on, you know, four players. You're then looking, okay, well, we can drop 100 million on a striker and just that one player, and that'll massively improve us. But it's all if, buts, and maybes, because at this present moment in time, we haven't signed those 3 players and we haven't spent 180 million. So let's wait until the end of the transfer window and see if we actually do that. And then we can go on to that. But Richarlison can score goals. Solanke can score goals. We've got players that can score goals. There was a lot of fear that when Son left, when Maddison got his injury, that, you know, and Kulusevski with their injury, that, you know, it's all, whatever it was, 47 or 67 goals and assists that we need to try and make up. We've got players that can put the ball in the back of the net. And the other thing that was proven from the PSG game is we're going to score goals from set pieces this year, which we didn't last year and the year before. So that's going to add to that total and stuff as well. And if we're conceding less, then we don't need to necessarily score as much. Under Ange, it initially was a bit like, if you score 3, we'll score 4. obviously towards the end of his tenure, that changed a little bit with all the injuries and the cup run and stuff to get to the Champions League. Well, got to the Champions League, but got to the Europa League final and won it. But yeah, with Richarlison, if he can stay fit, he will contribute this year. Will it be to the level that we ultimately want to get to? Who knows?
Tom, what about your take on the? Ian, your take on the Bergvall long throws?
Bergvall long throw. I mean, none of those came up on highlights. So sadly, I was working, so I didn't actually see the whole game. So I didn't really see his long throw, but I did see on Twitter that his long throw was a bit way off Danso's long throw. So
he got it to the first post though.
Yeah,
so that's a decent enough throw. He got it to the first post. He did get it to the first post.
Can't believe we're talking about length and premature and all of it. It's still getting a bit weird. This all of a sudden, isn't it? Yeah.
He wasn't quite Dan Fro as I've nicknamed him there. Dan Fro rather than Dan. It wasn't quite Dan Fro, isn't it?
Because you've said consistently, and I don't want to talk about the transfers because we've got a slot for this after we've finished analysing the game. But just following on from what Tom said there, Frank has had no intention whatsoever of bringing in another centre forward. He thinks that with Solanke and Richarlison, he's got enough ability and enough goals there.
Yeah, he's got enough players across that front line, either out injured or in the squad, or who could potentially join to make up them numbers. Let's put it that way. And to be honest, the strikers that they've looked at, they're not going to change anything, to be honest. And the problem is, as we saw today, what does 80 million get you? Cement boots in Gyökeres. I mean, the guy played more time with his hair than he had touches on the ball today. He played with his hair 28 times in that game. He touched the ball 3 times. So
sounding a bit jealous there, Callum.
I think I'd rather be a good footballer than sit there touching the air.
Well, you can't do both.
Yeah. When we talk about our hair, remember we're talking singular. But
very much so.
I've been singularly underwhelmed by Gyökeres, but we're not going to talk about him because he plays for that lot. I do want to move us on, though. Let me bring you back in then, Jose. 66 minutes, Johnson, brackets Marmite, 3-0, because I'm going to talk about Johnson in a bit more depth. But the one thing about that was making that run through the middle, never looked like missing.
Yeah, so remember I said earlier in the show that that Jed wouldn't look for him because he knew that he was trying to play the ball inside the third centre half and the fullback to try and get Johnson to run onto it, because Johnson he weren't passing the ball to him to take men on. Well, the goal that came and the third goal, it was exactly what I'm saying. It was in between the fullback and the third centre half, because Burnley played a 5 or a 3-5-2, however you want to look at it, and it was put through to him. And obviously Johnson, in the right positions, gone running through. When he went running through, because we were so he scored right in front of us, didn't he, in the south stand? And when he came running through, I didn't know whether he was going to score the goal or not, because it looked like the goalkeeper had reached him from where I was standing to watch it. And then all of a sudden, yes, I've seen the ball go past the goalkeeper and into the net. And then obviously, as soon as he scored that goal, the whole stadium was up again with the Johnson song. And it's, I mean, at the end of the day, you can ask any Tottenham supporter, what does what does Johnson do? And then they'll say to you, Johnson gets on the end of things. Johnson scores goals, he gets on the end of things. Johnson's not a take-on merchant. And Johnson, when he played for Forest before we bought him, it's what he was. He was an inside forward. He was a number 2 forward, an inside forward, and that's exactly where he scored his goal from.
I don't know if you can see the banner I've got there. I've sort of anticipated where this discussion would go with the banners I've created. In that promotion season, he scored 19 goals playing centrally.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, look, as I said, with Thomas Frank, right, he is going to set up our teams differently all the time, depending on the opposition. And the thing that I found, right, watching the game yesterday, And the thing that I've found, if we do end up getting Mr. EE from Crystal Palace and we get Savinho from Man City, if we did get them, it just means that we've got a different profile of player. Last season, I felt that the profile of players or the way that we use players was samey. We didn't have something different, so to speak. But this, if it happens, it offers us something different. And the systems that he's going to set up will offer something different as well. And who knows, you might find Johnson in a 3-5-2, 5-3-2, playing off the main striker. I don't know. At the end of the day, you cannot use Johnson the way we used him last year as well. You can, but don't expect him to be a hugging touchline winger who's going to be a take-on merchant. Johnson will score goals within the team, and we are going to need every player. Every player is going to be needed this season with all the competitions that we're in, especially knowing our track record with injuries. Because everyone gets injuries. Don't get me wrong, but we have had a really harsh time of injuries in the last few years, and if we were bestowed with that again this year, we need everybody and all hands to the pump.
Tom, they're really good points that Jose makes. Really good points. And I thought of this yesterday when we were in the stadium. Johnson Central is not a railway station. I think I may have mentioned that to you.
You said it to me.
Yeah, I did say it. That and exactly what, as a 5-3-2, a 3-5-2, off a main striker, we're in a 4-1-4-1, whatever. Johnson's best position isn't as Jose said, hugging the touchline, coming inside. It's in the box, getting on the end of things. He has an instinctive feel for where the ball's going to go, and he scores goals.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a finisher. That is what he is. He can left foot, right foot. He instinctively knows where to kind of be in the box. But I thought actually the goal he scored yesterday is what he is good at, and that is if you play balls in behind the defence for him to run onto and finish. He is quick once he gets up and running, so you need to be able to play those passes for him to be able to run onto. The biggest problem with Johnson is outside of that, he doesn't offer much. And when I say offer much, I'm not saying that he needs to be picking a ball up and taking on 3 players and stuff like that. But like being able to make a pass and being able to hold on to the ball for a little bit would be a good start. And he showed glimpses of that from the highlights that I saw. Going back to Richarlison's goal, the most impressive thing about Richarlison's goal is that it was 17 passes before it went in, and every single player on the team touched the ball. So it was a team goal, 17 passes and a worldy finish. But actually, Johnson, for that goal, he actually comes deep, collects the ball, dribbles inside and lays a good pass off to spread the play to the other side. And if he started doing that more, as well as putting in a bit more effort like defensively, then I think we'd have a lot less complaints about him. My thing with Johnson, he's definitely a good player to have in a squad, because if you're really desperate for a goal in the last few minutes and stuff like that, if the ball lands at him, he's probably going to have a good chance of putting it in the back of the net. Playing him centrally, it's difficult. He scored all of his goals last season from being that guy at the back post. He's not going to be able to do that if he's playing centrally. Even his goal yesterday was playing as more of like just inside the left, not playing centrally. It was just inside the left, and the ball played in between their right back and centre back for him to run onto. So him coming in at those angles is where he's really, really effective. My problem is that I don't think you get him and Richarlison together. Doesn't work. Like if Johnson's playing, he needs to be playing with a striker who can really hold up the ball, who can lay passes off and do all that stuff. But don't get me wrong, I thought Richarlison's hold-up play from what I saw yesterday was very good. But he's not a passer. He's not a creative number 9. Whereas Solanke's a bit more that kind of player. I think Richarlison and Johnson together doesn't particularly work. But one of them with the other guys is better. But again, as Jose said, if we get Savinho, if we get Eze, then when you've got Kulusevski coming back at some point as well, you're giving yourself incredible options across that front line, and not like for like. It's not just like swap that player for that player, they're the same player. You are completely changing. If you've got Savinho on the pitch and it hasn't been quite working and you're bringing Johnson on, that is a completely different player to be bringing on. That's going to do different things. That's going to make the defenders think different things as well. So having those options is going to be invaluable, especially if potentially we could, if all cup competitions go well, we could be playing 60 games this year.
I mean, Adrian, that comment, I mean, it was a proper 9 finish. I mean, this was something I just saw watching the game yesterday. Look how it's gone there.
If I had a little critique on Ange and he's watched all these games, he surely would have seen Johnson play on the left under Postecoglou. And no, for me, no, not on the left. Not on the left. Didn't work before, didn't work then. I could perhaps see him playing centrally in a League Cup or FA Cup game as a sort of experiment if we're up against lower league opposition. I don't think we're going to meet poor opposition in the Champions League unless we get really the worst of all the draws in opposition wise. So I think his future might, but he's not a number 9. If you get Savino in as well. Go on.
I'm not thinking about him as a number 9. I'm showing my age now, but as a Keegan off a Toshak,
in a 5-3-2 then.
Yeah, in a 5-3-2, a 3-5-2.
Yeah, I
can see that. Do you guys remember that role that Delhi used to play for us? That sort of shadow striker role, something like that.
When he played that, though, what ruined Delhi was when Son had that poor first season, wanted to leave the club, and tweaked it for Sonny, and Delhi, like we always do with skillful players, all the coaches do it in England. You get a skillful player you can't trust really to be in midfield, you put him out on the left. Everyone puts him out on the left, don't they, right? And Delhi got shoved down. It did work away to West Ham when he was on the floor and he flicked the ball through for the goal, you know what I mean? Things like that, set up a goal. But yeah, well, we'll see with Johnson, won't we? I mean, like, why he scores goals, he's safe, isn't he? I mean,
but I don't think there's any suggestion we're going to sell him. So
no. But
I think you did, and you were actually getting onto something I wasn't going to get onto, but I think you raised a point, Adrian, that isn't it one of the important things about what we're seeing is that Frank is so much more pragmatic of picking his players and picking his formations about what the opposition will do. And about what he wants to do, whereas Ange was, this is how I play and this is how I'm setting up, and it was the Wolves guy, and I can't remember his name because I always forget names. That's an age thing, Tom. Is he
Pereira?
No. The man,
guy before Gary O'Neill.
Gary O'Neill said, thanks, Tom. Gary O'Neill said on Monday Night Football or whatever, well, we know how Tottenham are going to set up and what have you. Well, that's the difference, isn't it, Adrian? They won't know.
Yeah, and Frank's a good psychologist as well, because look what he's done, right? Yeah. He's tweaked the teams. He's played against PSG. Players there that play the game know that he trusts them, and now he's played this young midfield free, and those midfield players know that he trusts them. It's good. It's good management. It's good psychology. Whether you like or not the players, that's always subjective. Us fans, we love and hate players, don't we? Players we like, players we don't like. But so, yeah, I mean, you can tell he's a thinker. So going to that game with that, knowing that, thinking, oh well, Burnley will mainly sit back. I mean, look, if we were playing Man City at home, would he have played that team? Not a hell's chance he would have played that team, would he?
No.
So. This is good. He's not wasting resources or energy. We got Man City Saturday, So Paulina and Bentancur are coming back, right? Written in the stars,
And probably Danso as well. He might.
Yeah, we could well see a back five against City, and he's not. Look, I was in the mud because I said when people say him in one show, they say to me like, about Ange playing a back five. I went, look at it realistically and logically, the way I think. I follow the data and the facts, right? I always do that, right? Don't always get it right, but I try and follow it the best I can. I said, well, he's played all these pre-season games. He's played 4-2-3-1, the narrow pivot we see at Brentford, you know what I mean? Or 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it. I said, there's no way in hell he's going to play a back five against PSG, right?
Yeah.
And he plays a back five, so it's like Eeyore for me, right? Eeyore, right? I got that one well wrong. I think no one would have predicted that lineup. They wouldn't have predicted Saturday's lineup either.
I got to laugh at Graham's comment there. The ideal player to play against the Ange highlight. That's probably right. Right, before we move on to transfers, man of the match. Adrian, I'll start with you. Why not start with our Lord and Master?
I'm going to... Well, you know, it's you either give it a Richie because you hope he kicks on, or you give it a kudos, don't you? So, you know, I'm going to be kind and I'm going to give it a Richie.
Okay. Oh, Callum's gone. Okay. Jose. Jose, you there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm giving it up. Me personally, I understand what Adrian said, but for me, 2 assists from Kudos, 2 world-class, sublime finishes from Richarlison. You're giving it to Richard. I'd give it to Richarlison all day long.
Tom, I know you weren't at the game, but you've...
Yeah, seeing the highlights, you score a goal like that, then it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, really?
Callum, have I lost you? I have lost you. Just as I want to go on to transfers as well.
He'll be back. He's just muted. He might have, you know.
Well, hopefully it's just a nature call or something like that. I'm giving it to Richarlison as well. I thought he led the line brilliantly, although kudos, just as I led off really with it. It just impresses me so much. Where are we here? I'm just picking up. Well, Daniel's giving it to kudos. And I need to say Papsar is a star. And I thought he was excellent as well. Jimmy Hotspur's giving it to kudos. Graham's joining us and giving it to and then good afternoon, Colin. Have I seen? Is Colin? He's there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Colin.
David Shears there from Down Under as well. Big up, David.
Indiana wants me. Lord, I can't go back there. One of the few white artists to record for Tamla Motown. No, not a lot of people know that. Right, let's. I need Callum in because Callum's usually got the latest information.
Well, let's talk about. I've got a question for you guys in midfield, right? Now we were pants last season. Now, what I wasn't happy with yesterday in midfield was, although we won the game, right? But I mean, normally players in midfield, they're given a job or a zone. They are at City. You see the 2 wider midfield players. They've got that tranche of pitch to go up and down on. Like with our midfielders, they're all over the show. You got Bergvall looking good, drifting right. Admittedly, he was doing some running off the ball, trying to get, Romero to pass the ball to him. You know, and it's easy to think, why aren't Romero doing it when you're up the high level I am? I haven't got the players' line of sight, right? Which is more difficult in a fast-moving game. And like you then had like Sarr, who was everywhere again, and really Archie Gray was sort of like more back because of that. And I just think our midfield has to be more cohesive, as a unit, play more as a unit than more as individuals, which is what I saw. I don't know if you guys, Jose, what was your take on the midfield?
Obviously, I was shocked to start off with, but then what I saw yesterday from the 3 midfielders was I saw energy straight away. Archie Gray started off first 5 or 10 minutes. I think he was finding his feet. I felt that the first 20 minutes, Bergvall, if I'm going to look at 6, 8, 10, Bergvall was the one that was playing the 10 role, furthest forward. But I think that they then swapped, and Bergvall then held the 8 position, and Sarr went into the 10 position for me for the rest of the game. I thought Gray had a good game. Gray just knitted everything that we were doing. He was picking the ball up off the centre halves and then releasing other people. Yeah, I thought he had. I thought the midfield did really well. Then when we brought on the 2 tanks, although saying I'm going to call them tanks, but I was so shocked. I said it to you after the game, Adrian. And, seeing Paulinho up close, I thought Bentancur was a fair size, 6 foot, blah blah blah. Cool. When I saw Paulinho in the flesh, Paulinho has got oaks. His legs are oaks. He's huge. He's massive. He dwarfs Bentancur. And when they came on, they just played pretty passes, didn't they? They just kept the ball and just.
Bentancur came on. It just said everything to be so calm when he came on. Bentancur. Everything so calmed down. I thought
they both did it. Him and Paulinho just kept it ticking over. Game was won by then. And they just didn't want any silliness going on, and they just played keep ball. They're 2 old pros, they've been around the block. They know they know what to do, and it changed. The dynamic had changed when they came on completely. But I was happy with the way the 3 youngsters played in midfield. Obviously they've got minutes. Other players that have played against the PSG were rested. And I've also managed to get minutes yesterday, and it just bodes well. Another week's worth of training, because the saving grace we've got at the moment is we're only playing once a week until after the international break, I think. And by playing once a week, it means that we can still train, and you can still, get ideas across tactically and that, and you can still play around with things. So the next couple of weeks, the next 2 to 3 weeks, the next 2 weeks, because after the 30th is a break in there for international. The next 2 weeks, I think, are vitally important for us, because after that we're going into the nitty gritty of 2 games, 2 or 3 games a week, however you want to look at it. So I think it's important the next couple of weeks, both with incomings and with training sessions. Really, really important.
Yeah, and we could see in the game. What pleased me as well, that you could see that we've worked on corners in training because they're all on the far post. We've worked on throw-ins.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot. The fact that I said this to Kev, Tom's dad, yesterday about when Frank goes there and they've got a set piece coach. Does he take everybody and say, right, line up, take a throw in? Let me see you take a throw in. And suddenly Danso's got this weapon that we didn't know he had. Bergvall, okay, slightly floaty, but he gets good distance on it. And all of a sudden, it's something very different. And that's where, much as I love Dange, you've got to say his attention to detail and in-depth knowledge of the game was really lacking a little bit compared to what we're seeing from Thomas Frank. My worry about Thomas Frank was, are we going to create enough opportunities? Well, I think we saw enough evidence yesterday to show that we are. And I know it was only Burnley, but you still, they play low, like they barely conceded a goal last season. And when he's got these creative players, and I do want to come on to the transfers, that if we get these creative players that we're hoping to get across over the line, we are going to create an awful lot of chances. And with the defensive disciplines we have, whether it's Paulinho and Bentancur or Gray and Bergvall, there's a lot of ability there. But anyway, look, let me move it on, because I do want to talk about transfers. Maybe give you something if you want to go into that on your show on Tuesday, Adrian, because the Friday will be the City.
You never know. I think there'll be exciting news this week, one way or another, though.
Might be, absolutely. Callum, there's a couple of things. Obviously, Eze, we were hearing from some of the ITKs like Himothy Online that it was done, that he'd spoken to a director after the game yesterday, and it was done, bar a few minor details. I can't remember which journalist it was came on late, and he was the only one that did it and said, "No, this is a long way from done." And lo and behold, Eze plays.
Yeah, it was Delaney.
Was it Miguel Delaney? Wasn't Sammy Mockbell as well? He was spouting off as well.
The only one who seemed to have that story right. In fact, while you're talking, I should probably check my Twitter, see if there's anything, any up to date. And yet, after the game, it looked like Eze was saying his goodbyes again. So, what's the latest you've heard?
So the latest is pretty much what Paul O'Keefe and many others have said, that realistically the deal is getting closer and the fees are sort of agreed upon. It's the structure that's being looked at, and also Palace looking at replacements. So they're speaking to El Canouse at Leicester. The problem is El Canouse's sort of release clause expired Friday, like Eze's did as well. So now you've got to directly negotiate with the club. They're also looking at a player from Club Bruges. I think it's Tolsin or something like that.
Tzolis, yeah.
Tzolis, and pretty much he signed a new deal earlier in the summer as well. So they've gone for both players who are sort of realistically 30 to 35 million upwards. So they want enough money to justify getting that player straight there and then. It's a slow burner, but Eze's the more positive one at the moment. Everyone was saying that he weren't going to play today. There was never an agreement with Palace to say that they weren't going to play him unless the deal was agreed last night, which it wasn't. And that's why we've seen Fabio Paratici in his consultant's role being at Chelsea today to speak to Steve Parish to see how the deal's going to be done. We're all hoping that we'll have something positive tomorrow.
We've been saying that for a bit too long, though.
Well, not really, because the Eze deal, we're talking 60 to 65 million. It's not small money. This is a big deal for us. And I mean, how long did Florian Wirtz take to Liverpool? 6 months. They started talking to him back in January, getting all the deal put together. So, I mean, I don't think it's that long. And to be honest, it's just one of them that we have to take our time. If we do it right, we do it right. If not, we don't do it at all.
I mean, Parish played hard ball or something, right? But to me, logic again, I always go down that road. This is the best time for him to get the biggest amount of money for Eze going. If he drops down to the last year of his contract, his value drops 15, 20 mil straight away. And clubs are bulking really now just because of his age, because of the money he wants. So this is one we should pay. Just pay the money and get it done, basically, in my opinion, because he's that good a player.
So if I said to you that we'd have to pay 50 million straight away up front, would you do it? Because that's what the starting price was for Parish. He wanted 50 million. Well, no, 60 overall, but 50 million up front. If we did that means that our transfer business would be affected on every other deal.
Yeah, on Savino as well. And if we weren't for Incapi, which I hope we are as well, that would be do it. I think we'd give them 30, probably 30 up front. Well, 30, because it depends on cash flow. See, what people don't consider, it's not just a deal over the 5 years with a 1 year extension optional and the wages on top of that. If you haven't got the cash, it's an even bigger deal, not for the selling club, but for buying club. You've now got to go to the bank and borrow the money. It's a bit like paying a mortgage. You buy your house for X amount, but really you paid 2.5 times on top because you've paid the interest on that money. So this is the deal. So when they say, like, we want all this up front, it's not happening. Then the deal's not going to happen because it will affect us too badly in the trend. I still think the deal's going to happen, but it's going to be...
Out of the 3 deals that you've said at the moment, Adrian, he's the most likely to be done this week.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, this is. I'm going to pick this up because to me, herein lies the problem. Callum, you raised this. The club has a budget, and I know you can talk about upfront and stage payments at the end of the day, but you've got a budget, and if that budget is £200 million, if you budget 50, I'll just take the numbers, 50 million for Eze, and you end up paying 70 million, it's a simple business truism. You've got 20 million less to spend elsewhere. And if you also want Savinho and Hincapié, if I pronounce that right, Tom, that money has to come off that, and it's... Adrian, let me ask you one. In fact, Jose, you've come back, so let me ask you this. There's a general feeling amongst Spurs supporters in the WhatsApp groups and the chat groups that every other club gets their business done quickly, easily, and it's only Tottenham that actually struggle. And it's a myth.
Right, I'm going to give you an example of two players, right? Harry Kane to Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Kane, to get the price right with Bayern Munich, it took at least 2 weeks. Something had happened before, and we know stuff had happened before and behind the scenes. But when the first bid came in and stuff like that, it took about 2 weeks for the Harry Kane deal to end up going through, and they'd done the groundwork with it and all that. And the other thing I will say is, with Harry Kane, did we take Harry Kane out of the last pre-season friendly before selling him?
No.
He played against Shakhtar. We won 5-1. He scored 4 goals. I'll give you Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son, LAFC. It was on the cards. The talking had been done in the background and all that. And did we rest Heung-min Son? Did he go through straight away? No, he took. Even though the work and the background work had already been done, he still took about a week or so, or if not longer, to go through, and he never got rested. So when people are talking about Eze playing for Crystal Palace today, he's employed by Crystal Palace. He is their player. What right? He has no right within his contract not to play today's game. He was always going to play today's game. And this is what I'm saying. People need to put the shoe on the other foot and have a look at it. And I'm giving you Kane and Son as examples. You can look at many, many examples from other clubs, but because it's nearer to home, I'm showing you Kane and I'm showing you Son. These things happen. Although deals get struck in, they do take time, and players do end up playing matches prior to being sold on. Eze didn't have anything in his contract that said, leave me out of today's game. He had to play. And I don't know why people were shocked. I think it's a lot of shit stirring out there to turn around and say, do you know what? He's not going to be included. He's coming. He's not going to be included in the squad tomorrow. And then all of a sudden he's included in the squad and people are going mad. And I'm just thinking to myself, and you know all about employment law. There's nothing in contracts, Ian, that will stop you from playing or from attending your work. So to me, I'm not shocked.
And Jose as well, I agree. Look how Newcastle struggle to get players in. Look at Man United, right? When they say we're slow, I get it, but there's no sort of quick and easy way deals are done. Some are done quicker than others. It depends on the quality of the player, whether they're easy to get or not. You look at Man United with 2 of their deals. How long does it take them to get Mbuemo through? Right? Look at Kuna, right? They activated his release clause on the 1st of June. Now, they must have had talks with him before. I don't know how many days they had talks with him before, but actually signed him on the 12th. So that's 12 days minimum without any days prior to that. So all this talk about, other clubs, no, we're not good at it. We're not, listen, I'm not saying we're great at getting deals done quickly. We're not, right? But it depends on the player and that. I mean, I think there's a lot of myths with this getting deals done quickly or not. The other year,
Can I add one in just quickly? Yeah, so if we remember that at the time we was negotiating for Morgan Gibbs-White, Forest was speaking to James McAtee. So it's been over a month since we spoke to Morgan Gibbs White, and they've just agreed James McAtee for £22 million on Friday. I mean, that's a prime example of it. Even for a deal at £20 million, it took a month and a half nearly to get it done. And he weren't even a replacement for Gibbs White. They're keeping him and having him as well. So, yeah, I think that we only see what's in front of us at Spurs, but every other fan base says it about players they miss out on, players they talk about, players that do this and do that. We can only react to what we see and what we hear from the club.
So people closer to Callum, right, i.e. your West Ham side of the family, the West Ham fan base have begun absolutely mental about not bringing players in, about being in negotiations or talks with players for too long. I mean, they bought that, I can't remember, Malik Diouf, the guy that plays left wing back. They took ages to get him to the club and bring him over the line. They're talking to other players at the moment, and all West Ham want, right, if people know the West Ham fan base, all they want is they want players in. Stop all this talking business. Why is it dragging on? Why is it taking so long? And that's just knowing the West Ham fan base and knowing some West Ham supporters. They're going through it as well. But every fan goes through it.
They only bought through Callum Wilson 2 weeks ago, and he's been a free agent since the end of May.
Right, so, guys. Question for you all on this, because to me, now I could be wrong in my thinking, right? To me, it seems to be that when in the Premier League, when you want to buy players in the Premier League of other clubs, these deals take an eternity. When you want someone from abroad, the deals are done quickly. Am I deceiving myself here or what?
Well, I think a lot of that stems from a lot of that stems from the fact that the Premier League is cash rich and the other leagues aren't. So it's a lot easier to do deals with those clubs abroad because they need the money. And the money that the Premier League can offer, you know, those clubs probably actually want money over a longer period of time to ensure that they've got constant cash flow coming in. So actually, like doing a 3-year 20 mil every 3 years works better for those teams. Whereas actually Palace, well, because of PSR, they need the money now and they want to get the player in now. They want a big lump sum and stuff. But the other thing as well is. The other thing I was going to say as well, like we feel like this Eze thing's been going on for a while because I think we wanted him last year, and obviously we didn't get him. Yeah. But the thing is, we weren't going to get Eze this year. We were going for Morgan Gibbs White, and we paid the money for that, and obviously it all didn't go well. And then they still weren't going to go for Eze. The only type of moment that Spurs seemingly picked to go for Eze was when James Maddison. We found out he was going to be missing the whole season with his, ACL injury. So then they suddenly went, shit, we need to get this number 10 in and we'll go for Eze because they'd already done some groundwork there with him. I think the problem is that I don't think transfers take any longer now than what they ever used to. The problem is that you just hear about them happening way before you ever used to because of social media. Fabrizio Romano is one of the single biggest worst things to happen to football transfers. in thing because all this here we go. Yeah, it was exciting when it first started happening, but now it's just like what the fuck? Like you hear about something potentially happening 3 weeks before it's anywhere near going to happen, and it's a bit this generation. Oh god, I sound like old grumpy man now. This generation, TikTok, 30-second videos, YouTube Shorts, all of that. Yeah, no one has patience to let a good thing kind of happen anymore. And because of that, I think like we just want it now. We want it now, and it is frustrating because us as Spurs fans, we feel like we've missed out on some big players because we just haven't paid that little bit extra to get them. Your Dybalas, for example.
What makes me laugh, Tom, though, is when the fans get themselves all worked up the lava, and then we find out at the end of the day we weren't even interested in that player in the first place. That's what gets me. Like
the problem is no one knows. No one knows. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure, like Callum, I'm sure you have good contacts and stuff like that. But like, no one can truly 100% say they know what the club is doing. Because I'm not being funny. Like at my small industry, my small workplace that I work at, I'm pretty high up in there. I don't know exactly what they're doing next year or what they're building next year, and yet I'm quite high up in that place. They could change their mind tomorrow for all I know. So There's no way that Daniel Levy, Vinay and Langer and Paratici are sitting having a meeting, just them four having a meeting about who they're going to get in, and then the dinner lady suddenly knows that we're signing Eze tomorrow. Like, it's just not how it works.
Just with what Tom's saying, can I just ask Callum a question, right? With the interview or that Thomas Frank did last week, where he was talking about at Brentford we did it this way and that way, and at Tottenham they do it this way, and we have to have a meeting for the sake of a meeting and stuff like that. Is there any truth in that Thomas Frank was saying that? Because they're saying that he said this. So
the problem is that when you look at Brentford and Spurs, you've got Brentford are not a small club, but they're not exactly a big club, are they? They've been in the Premier League probably solidly for 2 years now. You'd say they've finally solidified themselves. Spurs are a big club, and Spurs have multiple departments working. They've got data analysts, they've got scouts, they've got recruitment scouts. They've also got coaching staff involved in it. I am sorry. They've got a director of football. They've got a technical director. They've then got a finance department. There's all of these chains have to go through it, and because it's a multinational approach that Spurs are taking, I do believe it's correct. They do have to sit down and have committee meetings, because Brentford might only have 3 players on their shortlist. Spurs, like all the other big 6 clubs, have 20 or 30 players for each position they'll look at, and then they've then got to decide what the data and the actual scouts say, who's going to be the best option for them as well. So it does take time. They do have weekly or daily sort of transfer meetings over this stuff.
But the way I understood it from what his comments were, and I might have read it. I mean, everyone reads something and people take different parts of what they've read. But the way that I was reading it was that Thomas Frank has told them what kind of player he wants, and that the players that they're coming back to give him are not the players that he's requested. That's what I got from his interview. So I've asked this player with these skill sets, and they're coming back to me with a player that hasn't got the skill sets that I requested.
I think people are reading a little bit too much into it, because obviously these managers say what they want, but they don't know the ins and outs of what's in a transfer deal. They could say that they want Benjamin Sesko and it costs 100 million. They could say that they want Messi for it as well. So I think everyone's taking just a little bit of what's on paper. You actually have to look into it deeper, where the manager says what they want, but it can't always just be what the manager wants. It has to be what the club can go for as well, and they have to discuss these things. You can't just go, "Oh, I want a player, get it for me." This is how it runs as a club.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Callum, just one question. Sorry, we've had.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, my perception of what Thomas Frank was kind of leaning at was that everything at Brentford, because he was there from the Championship, moving into the Premier League, everything was streamlined. Like, through him, like, he had been there a long time. Everyone knew what was going on. They all knew that, you know, if I want this player, they're blum. They're like full on the data. Like they kind of not invented, but they kind of one of the first people to start using this kind of database like model of scouting and everything like that. So everything was quite seamless there. Whereas he's coming into Tottenham, who are just kind of getting into the more data driven way of doing stuff. He's new. So he's got to get his understanding of how everything's working there. I think it's more just everything's new. We're all just give it a season, give it 2 seasons, and when I go, I want to play with these kind of abilities. This is what I need, and they'll go, "Yep, boom, we've already got."
I think you are right, Tom, because if you think since Conte's time, we've had 3 different managers, we've had 3 different technical directors and sort of heads of scouting, head scouts, head coaches as well. The problem is we change the scouting department each bloody year now at the moment. So that's why I think it's such a disjointed approach. Whereas, like you said, Frank has built the approach at Brentford with them from the bottom up. He's got to do that with Spurs. And everyone says, well, he's worked with Langer or known Langer for 20 years, but he ain't worked with him for 18 bloody years and all that. So they're not going to be the same people they were all that time ago.
Callum, This is something. Sorry, and just to jump in here. This is something that's been a little bit of a bugbear of mine. Not so much with recruitment team as a whole, but like when you bring your coaches in and they're experts. I'm going to go to an example which I'm going to follow up on. We get Fabianotti in, the goalkeeping coach, right? He was at Liverpool, he was out in Germany, highly recommended and all that. Now, we know the fan base of Amdanar, Vicario, Kinski. They've got their good and bad points. They're not awful. There's no one available that's better than them anyway. So we've got what we got, and we're sticking what we got this season. But do they actually consult a good goalkeeping coach like Fabianotti on what goalkeepers would you like to bring in, rather than look at videos and data analysis and say like, oh, well, we like the look of that guy?
Well, the problem is that before Fabianotti came in, we had Dean Brill. Well, we've got Dean Brill in the squad, but we had Birch before. Birch was a Tottenham man through and through. Most of the coaching staff were Tottenham men. So they are yes men, if you get what I mean. So but I don't think, unless it's the coach, the head coach and the assistant manager, I don't think you would consult all your coaching staff, because you've got, just say with Frank, he's got about 12 coaching staff in there. So you wouldn't consult all of them on one transfer. It's just counterproductive.
No, but I mean, the reason I bring it up, because goalkeeping is really a specialised position. It's so important. I'm not saying other players aren't, but it is. Potentially,
but because we've never had a scenario where we've needed to, it's not something I've heard of. It's always been down to the style of play that the manager wants to play. That's what they'll get a player for.
Okay. Callum, let's move it on, because I know you got work tomorrow early, and Tom, you're on a day off, mine, aren't you? I'm going to talk about two possible incomes, a couple of outgoings before we finish up. I don't want people to run out of time. Savinho, that's another one. This looks like it's getting more complicated, at least on the money side, albeit his agents, from what we read, have come over to England to try and get the deal sorted, and the player himself is keen.
Yeah, player's keen. The problem is just the money side. The literal value that City want, they want between 70 and 75 million euros, which converted to pounds is roughly about 64 to 65 million quid. So it's going to be a club record bid. If we're going to do it, we will probably end up having to beat the fee that we paid for Solanke last summer. It's someone that Frank really likes. It's someone that the club really does rate. And I think there's a deal to be done, but we've had 2 bids rejected within a week already because they just want such a high valuation. I think if this wants to get over the line, obviously his agents are flying in tomorrow to discuss with the clubs to see what they can do. Pep doesn't ultimately want to sell him. So we're looking at having to have Savinho push the deal. He's going to have to push to leave City. And I don't know whether he would do that or not, to be honest.
If it's going to happen, actually it will happen very quickly. In other words, the agents will come over and blah, blah, blah. There'll be some chats. It'll be Tottenham, if you pay this, we'll do the deal. Right, we're doing the deal, bang. Or it will just drag and drag and drag.
What's the flight? What's the flight? Sorry, what's the flight from Rio? 10 hours?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. So people were saying, if we believe in everybody, all the aggregators are saying on Friday that these people were flying in that day. So today's Sunday. So unless the people on Friday were talking crap, they were saying that on Friday that these people were already flying over. So
flight would leave. I think it's a bit longer. I think it's about 12, 13 hours.
But what I'm trying to get to, Ian, is that people in the know supposedly were saying on Friday that they're flying over they were saying it on Friday, they're flying Friday. So today being Sunday, unless they've had like multiple stopovers, you would have thought if they'd left Friday, they'd be here by now.
Yeah.
Well, they went to Disneyland on the way. They went and saw Levy for his daughter moving into university as well. No, to be honest, from what I've been told, they're not over here yet. Savinho's still training away from the squad, and to be honest, it's likely that they'll come in tomorrow, and they will start discussions, because I think that's when Levy's back from America as well. Because when you're discussing this level of finance, I think realistically you're going to be dealing with Levy or Paratici or Vinay, not Langer, because apparently he's out in Germany at the moment, according to someone, or in Denmark. But that's the thing, no one actually knows where these people are. The only person we know, the only two we've seen is Levy with his daughter moving into university out in America, because she starts her term time in 2 weeks. And we've seen Paratici at Stamford Bridge today, who will have a meeting with Parish tonight and into tomorrow to try and push the deal along. The problem is that the Savinho deal, because of the money involved and how much they want for it, it's not an easy deal to push. And remember, we're paying a lot of money for potential here. So it's a very big risk as well. And Spurs originally valued him at about 50 million euros. It wasn't even 50 million pounds. So there's a lot of jumping. And someone's just said that Levy was at the stadium yesterday. Well, let's put it this way. I zoomed my camera in where he usually sits. He weren't there. So that one I can personally confirm on that one.
The day come.
Pardon?
He was on match.
The player wants to move, though, doesn't he?
Was he?
He wants to move because he wants to be in the Brazil, get a chance of being in the Brazil squad. And like you say, so like he wants to come. The player wants to come because he's behind Doku, he's behind Bob, like at Man City, and he knows he's not getting the time. So he wants to come. So you're right about the money. I agree. The money is the thing. It's the structure of the payments. This deal can be done.
But the way you look here, sorry, just from what Callum said, right, guys, the way that I'm looking here, you're saying, Callum, that if we've got to pay 65, let's say, I'm going to call it English money, 65 million, right? That would beat Solanke's transfer fee, right? What's the difference? I don't understand what the difference is between Savinho and Solanke. Because for me, Solanke had only had one season in the Premiership, and we paid all that money for him. Savinho's only had 1 year in the Premiership, and albeit he had a really good year the season before in La Liga. So, and with Solanke, you might get a bit of resale value for him because Solanke's about 28 now or whatever. With Savinho's 21 years of age. And I look at it myself and I think to myself, we took a punt on Solanke because same as Arsenal taking a punt on Gyökeres. You know, at the end of the day, if clubs aren't going to take these punts, then you don't know whether you're going to pass or foul, do you really? I mean, Liverpool have taken a punt with Wirtz. How old's Wirtz? He's only 21, 22. They've paid 100 and whatever million for him. You know, Ekitike, 23 years old, 80 million for him. Sesko's gone to Man United. These are the figures that you're talking about. I thought these figures had gone because there was back in the day, I don't know, about a few years ago, we were seeing a few players going for £100 million. Like we saw him here in England, especially Chelsea splashing on the two centre midfielders. João Felix going to Atletico Madrid for 100 million. These players that I didn't think that were worth 100 million. And then all of a sudden we saw the prices drop, and they seem to have crept back up again this season. And at the end of the day,
this is the new norm, these fees. Now. That's the problem.
At the end of the day, I'm just thinking to myself, if it's 65 million, and obviously I'm a supporter of the club and I love the club so much, but if it's 65 million for him, then it's easy because it's not my money, eh? I would turn around and say, go for it. Just pay the money and bring him in. Simple. You know, but at the end of the day, like I said, to me, if we're taking a punt and that's the reasoning and that's the thought process for Tottenham, then we took a punt with Solanke.
Adrian, I hope you've got some really good ammunition here for your show Tuesday. But I want to really wrap up by midnight. Particularly, I was up at 4:15 to drive home this morning. So, Cal, this is one that I think has been on the radar for a little bit. But when the club has talked about wanting a centre half who can play a left-sided centre half stroke left back, this is the guy straight out of central casting, isn't he? Ecuadorian left back or centre half, 23 years old. but a release clause of £60 million, which I did the exchange at, which is 51,600,000. I think I've got that figure quite right. 51,600,000 pounds.
Yeah, no, this is a guy that's been on the radar since would have been Jose's time. To be fair, we looked at him back because I think he's about 23 now. So going back 5 years, he's a good player. And don't get me wrong, but this is the most expensive he's ever been this season because of this release clause. He signed a new deal about a year ago. Before we've looked at him, he's about 25 to 35 million. Last year, a little bit higher. And this year is the highest that he has been. But if we really want to say, no, thanks for your comment, Lee. Cheers for that, mate. Really appreciate all of that. Maybe I didn't see him. I was sitting in the stadium, not on TV. But yeah. Oh no, it's just someone calling me out. I do enjoy nights like that.
I don't know. You were talking about and something went wrong with the feed in Cape, and then you suddenly were talking about being called out. I know, yeah, Levy was at the stadium. Sorry, I'm. Oh. Yeah, unless something went wrong with the feed, you were talking about someone who's on our radar, and it was his latest buyout clause is right up. So something went wrong with my feed. I don't know. It suddenly froze.
Yeah, no. So this is the most expensive that Hincape has been for this season after the last couple of years. To be fair, since we was looking at him under Jose, so it's a deal that the Spurs really do want to do, and they have looked at him alongside Scalvini. They looked at Leone before he went to Liverpool as well, and Gahey's still an option, but Hincape has seemed to gone to the top of the list because of his versatility at left centre back and left back. It's just the price that is the sticking point, especially if we're going to cough up the money, say 60 to 65 for Eze, 65 plus for Savinho, then 51 to 55 for this guy as well. If we want to get better payment terms, we'll probably end up having to pay over the release clause as well. So it's really, really difficult. But if we do get this done, this is brilliant business, isn't it? It's what we've all been crying out for.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think that it's probably pushing it a little bit much for this guy.
Tom, do you know much about
Leverkusen will dig their heels in, won't they? Because they've lost Jonathan Tah to they play free at the back. They've lost Jonathan Tah to Bayern. They've got Tapsoba who were interested, and they've been asset stripped basically.
Tom,
yeah,
do you know?
But the thing the thing that surprises me about Hincapié is that Hincapié 2 years ago when we were looking at him, and even last season, he'd come off the back of having a stormer, playing a World Cup. Then he's come off the back of winning the league with Leverkusen when they went unbeaten and stuff like that. And if anything, last season was probably, in terms of his football and that, was probably his worst out of all 3 seasons. Yet his price has now gone up to a 60 million release fee clause, and it's probably the worst out of the 3 seasons he's had. But yeah, it's interesting. This, for me, we might be linked with him, but this is the one that I think to myself, unless we have got pots of gold.
Yeah,
this is the least likely one to happen.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. To me, my thought process would tell me that that this is the least likely one to happen. Unless we've got pots of gold. But then also as well, there's loads of people saying, and you're probably going to shoot this down, Callum, but there's a lot of people saying that we're now linked with Dani Olmo as well.
That one was completely just crap, to be honest.
It was, yeah.
I think we looked at Dani Olmo back in 2019.
Yeah.
But all of these, like we said earlier, there's lists of players. There's hundreds of players that Spurs look at each year with their scouts and their data analysts, everything like that.
Yeah.
And Spurs speak to multiple clubs throughout the summer and through intermediaries. We've probably spoken to over 100 players this summer to try and find best deals, who's available for what, when's this player available, what's their contract terms. but all of them don't get reported. And people like myself who speak to different contacts around the club, and there's so many people that speak to different agents and they get given a different name, and that name could be false, it could be real, and you have to do your digging to try and find it. But it's just that so many people will say, oh, I've heard this, I've heard that. Well, I've heard that we spoke to Walton, we tried to get him. Yes, it's true. Then the media reports it, but it hasn't happened. That's the thing. So many different deals will be looked at this summer, and people will always say about this as it is. And to be honest, I can see us probably getting 2 more players at the moment. And if it is Eze and Savinho, then great. Then they may look for another centre-back. But we're talking about having figures for the centre-back generated by sales as well. And it could be a far weird and wonderful name that we've never even heard of that will come out of nowhere, out of Denmark or out of France or the Netherlands, of a centre-back that we look at. It's only that Paul O'Keefe said about Hincapié, and that we've then spoken to different contacts, and then we've looked at previous interests, and we've said that it is possible, and they have spoken to Leverkusen about the deal, but it's a very tough deal to do. And we know how we can get burned by release clauses this summer. So I would always say that and that's the thing, it's like Brett's just said Van Hecker as well. That's one that I shared with everyone a couple of days ago as well. Very good player, but astronomical money as well. So people need to literally looking at it as taking a pinch of salt. Until the player's holding up a shirt announced by the Spurs Twitter account and saying this person has signed for Spurs, we can only report, and we pass on, and we discuss all of this constantly throughout transfer window. I fucking hate the transfer window at this rate, to be honest, because we're all tired of it. You look at me, Ian, Adrian, Tom, everyone who's done this show for so many weeks now, and literally we're tired. That's the thing, because people will constantly give us new names and we have to say yes or no or have a debate on it. So people just need to calm down a little bit and stop being fucking idiots, to be honest, out there.
Let me move, because we're coming to the end and I do want to wrap it up. Callum, Bissouma, it must be on the way out. Not involved yesterday. Not involved in Italy on Wednesday. But any other? Well, 2 questions, I guess. One, any offers for Bissouma so far? And secondly, who else might be leaving in the next 2 and a bit weeks?
Most of the interest in Bissouma's come from Saudi and Turkey at the moment. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that have held the strongest discussions. There's been minor links to France. The one that Paul O'Keefe said about tonight is true. Everton have looked at him as a potential replacement for Abdoulaye Doucouré. West Ham spoke to us about him a couple of weeks back, but that never materialised to anything further. So they want him out for definite. Solomon, I could see potentially happening this week. Leeds are very much pushing on him because they've seen that they really need him to come in. And I would say Brian Hill slowed down quite a lot, to be honest. He was meant to be going to Bologna, and that one went very dead all of a sudden. So I think the figures that were being discussed about a loan obligation were wanted more as an option, and Spurs weren't even entertaining that anymore. So likely to see them. Might see a loan for Dane Scarlett in the next 2 weeks, but even he's gone quiet at the moment.
So with Hill, right, Callum, I was in Spain. Not for good reasons, but I was out in Spain when I got back. But I was out there for a couple of weeks, and the links that I was getting in Spain were that there was interest in Hill from 2 Spanish clubs, and that was Girona and Osasuna.
Mm-hmm.
Were both interested in Hill, and that was when I was in Spain. That's what was being reported out in Spain.
And that's the problem. He feels that he's better than both of them clubs. He feels he should be playing at top 6, top 8 level in Spain, and it just doesn't. They don't see him as that.
Was he at Sevilla or Real Betis?
Sevilla.
Who's at Sevilla? Yeah, okay. Top 6. Not sure he's that level. Adrian, you got a view on Brian Hill?
Too lightweight, isn't he? Skillful, quick feet, just not.
No, at what
just
level
not
he's
good.
Spain? He's not playing for Tottenham.
Well, he's still young enough to kick on, isn't he? I think he could kick on in a foreign league. He's not built for the Premier League. Like, thank you for your little bit of service and goodbye.
Yeah. Is this one of those windows that we think there might be? Forget about Eze and forget about Slovenia for a minute. Let's leave them out of the picture. But there might be an opportunist signing on the last day of the window, like, I know, Hill going to Southampton and us taking Dibley or something like that. Is that the kind of thing that might come out, a rabbit out of a hat on deadline day, Callum?
I would never be shocked if it did happen, because we do have a habit of doing stuff like that. I mean, there could be a youngster who they get. It's one of those where if we do look at that, then it would be very good, and we could get someone. But I don't think it's going to be for big money. It's going to be a sort of a Lucas Bergvall type fee between 10 and 20 million, maybe, compared to something like an Archie Gray fee. And we'll probably see them, we'll get them and then loan them back for at least 6 months. I mean, we did it with Mason Malia, is the most recent one. Very good player, so it'd be interesting to see how he does. But yeah, I'd keep an eye on the young players, because Langer's always looking.
Not say get those 2 in, and maybe if someone doesn't snap up El Canusi, then like get someone like him in.
I can't see it being 3 attackers, to be honest. I don't think we honestly had the squad space. That's the problem. Unless we were, because I wouldn't be shocked if potentially if we still had Solomon or Hill at the end of this window, that potentially Hill might have his contract terminated, because I think he's only got a contract till 2026 now, maybe 2027. So they could move to do that, because I honestly don't see any space left, and they won't be registered in the squad. I know they've got squad numbers, but you can
links to like a player I like, but not really at the level yet for us. Harvey Elliott and that. There's still links to him, but he had a great under-21 tournament. But you know,
okay. We're over 2 hours. We're after midnight. I know Callum's got to work tomorrow. I've been up.
Bewitching hour.
I need to go to bed. Yeah. Please, everybody. If you're on our channel, please hit the like.
Big up, Nita.
It doesn't give you rash. Thanks, Nita. If you're watching on. I had it a second ago in the Eltel Cockerell link. Where's it gone? There it is. Sorry. If you're watching on Eltel Cockerell, please hit the like button and the subscribe button on that. If you're watching Eltel Cockerell, please find Tottenham Diehards, TTID, Spurs Diehards, and hit a like and subscribe to us. If you're watching on our channel, hit the like and the subscribe button on Eltel Cockerell. We nearly got to 500 tonight. We didn't quite. We were just short about 480 something, which is a record, certainly for a Sunday. It might be a record all-in. So for you, Jose, for bringing your audience, and to Sava, I think, who brought his as well. Thank you. Really appreciate it. All that's left for me to do is thank our guests. First of all, Jose, always welcome on this show, my friend. Our regulars, Tom and Callum, co-host Adrian, see you in the back room. Thank you for everyone in the chat for the
and just to add to that, if you haven't already, in the bottom right hand corner, we can't see it, the red subscribe button's there. We are taking memberships as well, if you choose to become a member as well. And the rotating ribbon at the bottom, you can find us on Facebook. We've got a group channel with 14,500 members. We've got a page. It's only got about 300 members, and you can find us on XCOM down there as well. We've got that hasn't been going about a year or so, but that's got over 3,000 members. That's doing really well, and I think a lot of you are watching us from there. And a big thank to all of you in the chat, those of you that have asked questions in the chat, and a very big up to everyone that watches on playback, and a real big up to those that have donated to the channel as well, like Blaine, Peter Kahagias, and have I missed anyone else here? I'm not sure.
If you go into the starred comments, if you go into your starred comments, you can bring up what people have done to who sponsors your show tonight.
Yeah.
You can highlight that.
Chris Peters, he donated, and I was just going to say probably a good one to end on is we did get asked this question as well. Do you think Levy's going to spend big, or is it deception?
No.
I think my instinct tells me that a naming rights deal is close, but I'm not excited about that, even if it's 500 million over so many years at 25 million a year, because that will just pay the interest on our debt. But I do think now. I don't believe anything about Enoch or investing in the club. Yeah, I think we've got all got more chance of being struck down by rusty cannonballs than that happening, right? But I think there is some sort of deal close now in the offing. Now it could be like Middle Eastern or American, and that might be a 200-300 mil deal. I think that's there. But bear in mind, like, we earned a lot of money last year in the Europa League winning it, right? And we know we're guaranteed at least 10 games in the Champions League, because you've got the 8 games in the league, but 24 teams qualify. I mean, like, the bottom 16 teams ain't in the 8. They are in the playoffs. So we're going to have 10 games minimum there, right? Added to 38 league games and 2 domestic cup games. So that's 50 games minimum if we don't progress.
But we could listen, guys. We could discuss this for an hour, and no knowledge of what we're talking about at all. We will know.
Well, that's why. Just give a one-word answer, Ian. Do you think Levy's going to spend big?
I don't
yes
think
or no?
I think Enoch are. You know, I think there's money coming in. Yeah, I do think.
I think the club will spend big, not Levy.
Yeah, I think there's money coming.
Yes,
I think there's money there. We wouldn't be in for Eze and Slovenia if the money weren't there.
If I follow the facts and I follow the evidence of 25 years, a user, I'm going to say no. However, what I will say for this season is, with the heavy, strong links with these 2 players, with Eze and Savinho at the moment, right? If they don't get done, then expect lynch mobs in North 17, because it'll be people are going to be at the end of their tether. So then expect the lynch mobs in North 17.
I'm just trying to envisage Jose with a pitchfork and a burning torch. You know what I mean?
All right. I'm going to leave it there. Adrian back at 10 o'clock hosted on Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah, we're Tuesday, guys, and what we'll do is we'll probably Q&A if something breaks, or let's not think of something interesting to talk about. Otherwise, it'll be a very short show.
You might have transfer. You might have more transfer news to discuss. All right. Thanks to everybody. This is Ian, Sunday host. I will catch you all in the back room. See you later. Thanks, everybody.
Nice song for you guys. Nice new song for you.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die. Hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die. Hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die. Hearts, hearts. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die, hearts, heart and soul, lily white and navy blue. Navy blue.